Hi, everybody. It's Grace. Welcome to summer. At least that's what it's like where I live. I've just returned home from being on a trip, and it's warm and sunny, and people are out with tank tops and shorts and flip flops. So, this kind of weather often invites a sense of discouragement about the body. I'm sure you've all noticed this. If you're here and you are somebody who's had trouble with eating or compulsion or compulsive behavior, and even if you haven't, you probably have had some sort of experience or noticing your body and felt self critical. Often, people don't realize the intense tie together between a sense of discouragement or disappointment or fear around judgment in their own bodies and the entry of some kind of eating off balance behavior. So, powerful to just sit and do inquiry, identify stressful thoughts or experiences or ideas we have about the perceptions of the body and what it's supposed to look like, and see how far back it goes. So, for example, I was working with somebody recently who remembered that when she was only 9 years old, her grandmother called her an elephant. And this is not the first grandmother I've heard of that has made a very strong influence or impression upon a child. And the thing is, there was a larger extended family who also agreed. Now, this is really interesting. Instead of just assuming somebody's impression or their judgment of who you were or what your body looked like because of what you heard them say in that particular moment, or maybe several different times, you can really sit with that experience of the person calling you a name or speaking that judgment or saying something about you. You were fat. And actually sit with it and question it. First of all, just begin to notice what it is that was very stressful and painful that came out of that moment that brought you to agreement with them. I mean, often a child instantly becomes aware, oh, I agree. Whatever it is, this thing that is that's called fat, I'm it. This person that I care about deeply and who I really care about what they're thinking of me, who loves me very much and I love them, is saying, is expressing a judgment, and I'm just immediately also agreeing that it must be true. I'm a child. They're saying I'm fat. I'm believing I'm fat the instant they say that. Really interesting how quickly it goes. It's just an assumption. We're all agreeing. It's absolutely true. Often people look back on childhood photos and pictures that they have of themselves, maybe in middle school sometime, and they said, my God, I thought I was a whale at that time. And look at me. I look about the same as the other kids. This happens over and over again when I work with people who are looking at their body image, the expression that their body and how it shows up in the world, and remembering all the judgments that they had about their own bodies. So here's another tricky, interesting thing, or like a sort of a subtle way that body image judgment shows up. And that is when we hear other people talking about their bodies. So often there are mothers or fathers who speak about their bodies out loud. Say mom or that grandmother herself saw a picture of herself in the mirror, a reflection over there, or was looking at a photo and said, oh my God, look at me, I look so fat. That kind of wording that comes out spontaneously of a parent or a grandparent or somebody who's someone we admire and love, somebody who's making a strong impression on us as children, somebody that we're around a lot. So somebody speaks these kinds of words about themselves and may have never said anything to you directly. That is still tricky, but just as painful if you begin to believe that to be the case. It is not difficult to see how in our culture and our society, depending on where you live, there's a huge emphasis on your appearance and how you're showing up. When you take this very seriously, sometimes it can become extremely serious, like when you're a teenager, when you're a young adult, when you're trying to find a mate, when you want to make a great impression at work. There'll be things that begin to be associated with a type of body or a way a body will look and what's anti to that. So here's the way a body should look, or what a body that looks like X over here. Here's the good body, right? Some beautiful body, some thin body, muscular body, powerful body. What are those qualities that person you assume must have if they've got a body like that? We'll often think they're disciplined, they have a lot of power, they're intense, they're passionate, they're committed, they're a fighter. I mean, you just see what kind of qualities come out of somebody that you think of has a lot of muscle structure, or must be working out, or must be super athletic. And they're often qualities that are revered in our culture. And then somebody who's maybe thin but not too muscular. There can be this kind of quality too, not too muscular, not like that, but just thin. And they are, attractive, delicate, feminine. You just see what it is, graceful, and it's desirable to other people. There's an assumption that others will be very, very interested, and everyone's buying the same story. So sometimes you find that they are interested, and you're getting proof that what you believe about the body and how it's showing up is true if you've had your body be a certain way. And this, of course, is the same as if you're heavy set, quote unquote fat, whatever it is that we're calling that. Other people may have confirmed that, so you've got your proof. Really, really powerful to sit with these places where people have made their assumptions, and just see where you found them to be very serious and true assumptions. What was going on there? You bought it. You agreed with the story. I mean, I know my experiences, I just didn't even question the story for 1 second. I began very, very young to notice that father, mother, grandparents, aunts and uncles, other adults, and then even kids eventually, said things about people's bodies. And like, for example, my grandfather pointed to a woman outside the car window and said, "She ate too much ice cream." And, you're just sort of like trying to sort that out as a child, maybe 10 years old only. Oh, it's possible for somebody to eat too much ice cream. He's noticing something about this woman. I look at her over there and I see she's heavy and he doesn't like it, or he's making fun of it. I will never, ever show up that way myself. Note to self, put it in the files. Make sure you don't look like that. Now, not everybody begins to take these kinds of assumptions about body so seriously, but some of us do. When it seems like the way we are being physically, if it winds up equaling, if there's a painful memory of rejection, if it equals you are no longer part of our tribe, you do not fit in, we're not going to speak to you anymore, we don't even like you, you can't be chosen on our team, we don't want to play with you, you're not part of the family. If those kinds of messages get tied or associated, closely with this sense of how my body is showing up and what I think it means about me, that's a very frightening thing for many human beings, to be dismissed from your own group, from your own people, to think that if I don't appear a certain way, I will not be accepted, I will not be loved, I will not be admired. You get to see what it is for yourself. What you notice within is the danger of not having your body be a certain other way than it is, or having a body be a certain way. I mean, there's dangerous things about this perfect body too, when people have one. So an interesting exercise to do, if you notice a lot of body assumptions going on that you've never even thought to question, is see what you think it means when somebody's heavy set, has a lot of weight on them, carries around. Wait, what do you think it means about that person? What do you think it actually means? What's the danger in looking like that? What is fatness? What's the danger? And then swing to the other side over here. This is a very interesting and intriguing investigation, is to look at what you think that perfect body means about that perfect person with all those muscles and discipline and thinness. The movie stars who look gorgeous. Go ahead and write down what your thoughts and judgments are about that person. What do they have that you don't? What do you think that is accessible to them that isn't available to you? All of this is story. It's all a big, grand, interesting story that can be deeply questioned. A lot of times people are afraid that if they question their theories about fatness and thinness, that they will not be motivated any longer to lose weight or become thin, or be better looking or be more healthy. If I question my assumptions about fatness and thinness and how food is connected to that, then and I'm free and I feel light and easy and I don't worry so much about being fat anymore, I'll stay fat forever. I'll drop dead of a heart attack. I'll get diabetes. All these terrible things will happen. So like a new image will come to mind about the dangers and threats and horrors of being fat. So you just watch that mind come in and have its concerns and worries for you to be safe, and be healthy and live well. But you can question absolutely any of it at all. An amazing, deep underlying belief that's mixed in with all of this is I need to be unhappy in order to be motivated to make change. I need to be aware of how ugly and fat I am in order to have the discipline to press against that or move past it somehow. I need to be stressed in order to be happy later. That is an incredible thing to question. Are you sure that's true? Are you sure you have to feel pain in order to make gain, right? Isn't that an amazing saying? Pain makes gain, however that one goes. Are you sure that's true? I have repeatedly found that there is some breakthrough sometimes with questioning thought and changing my perception and altering my awareness or what I think is true about reality, especially when it comes to body and food and eating and any of it and all stress. It's amazing to question, but I find that the greatest change and transformation has actually happened when I am just purely honest, when I am willing to question my own assumptions, when I am actually, when peace becomes the greatest driver or the thing that is most interesting to me. Peace. And I find that I'm not going to be a peaceful but fat and happy person. People will think that's what's going to happen if I question this belief about fat and thin assumptions and how the body should be and being rejected or being accepted or being successful. I think that I'm just going to wind up being fat and happy, and that's the way to approach life. What I find is that most people cannot ever remain there. They're not really happy. They're overweight and they might be stuffing themselves or eating things they don't even like that much. It's not really a peaceful day-to-day existence. So the greatest peace and the most kindness comes with actually a deeply balanced eating and a balanced view of how you're looking, not this incredibly negative, horrifying view like, I'm so ugly and I'm so fat and I'm so hideous, those kind of dramatic ways that we'll begin to think about ourselves, and that other people look better or other people look worse, or that constant comparison. It's actually much easier to just be in your own skin and become more and more comfortable and question those thoughts. Is it true what I'm believing? Can I absolutely know that that's the truth? Who would I be without this story? Who would I be without this story? Can I turn that around? Even if I am quite heavy and I have the belief I am fat, but just like studying what I think that that means, am I sure that it means I am rejected? Turning that around, I am accepted. I am not alone. I am connected to all of humanity. I am not some weird, aberrant, strange person over here that's doing things, real whacked out with food and eating, although that is how I used to feel about it, but has no solution whatsoever. I'm not. I'm actually nobody uniquely who comes to me and says, well, wait till you hear my eating story. Really, really extra terrible. I might say that sounds like a lot of suffering, but it doesn't sound so terrible or so horrifying to me. I've done incredible things with food and eating that are really weird and really painful, were deeply painful at the time, and I just didn't know any other way. But I know now I'm not alone at all in that experience. So, just watching this belief that it has to be painful in order to get to peace, and I have to criticize the body in order to be motivated to change the body. I haven't experienced that as being true. So see if you can love that body part or that part that looks so difficult and uncomfortable for you, but always holding that as you begin to love more and more and criticize less and less and drop all your comparisons and your stories about what you're supposed to look like and what you think it means will happen if you don't look the right way, as those drop and dissolve through self-inquiry, you will become more balanced and even-keeled and calmer around food and eating itself. And you will never really want to stuff yourself. And when you don't want to stuff yourself, when you don't want to binge eat, when you don't want to eat things that make you feel bad or that you're actually allergic to, your body balances out and it becomes more normal weight, whatever that looks like for you. All right, so I am fat, turned around. My thinking is fat. I am lumpy and bumpy, and means people will reject me. I am smooth. My thinking's lumpy and bumpy, and people reject my thinking, or I'm rejecting my own thinking. My body is doing whatever it does, and that's okay. I'm not rejected. I'm not rejectable. All right. Let me know if you have any questions, and let me know how it goes. Bye, everybody.